All right, everybody. It's about to be 6:35. So I would say let's get started. Again, let me introduce myself. My name is Juan Vasquez. I am the tenant counselor / organizer here at Cypress Hills Local Development Corporation, Housing Department. I'm joined here as well by my supervisor, Renee Arlane. So in case, again, I'm just gonna ask if anyone else has joined on. I'm gonna check if anyone else has. But in case anyone does need someone to speak to them and translate the information in Spanish, please let us know. You could also text me in the chat and let me know if that's needed. But let's get started. Our workshop for today is basically on eviction and how to prevent one. Basically, I was scheduled to have this workshop late last month, but due to circumstances, I had to reschedule. But either way, eviction is a very big topic. We get a lot of these type of cases coming into our office on a daily, and many times the tenants aren't sure. Tenants aren't really sure what they're supposed to do once the landlord does give you some type of notice to vacate the premise or any other type of court document. So let me just start the PowerPoint. That way you guys have an idea of what I'm going to present. This is going to be kind of information heavy. So please, I'm going to try to condense the information as much as I can. But again, all of this information is very important. So let me just start sharing my screen. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so let me start with the first slide. So I'm going to skip over the Spanish one again, in case anyone else here does speak Spanish. Si hablan español, me dejan saber, por favor. But just in case, they are going to have some Spanish slides. If anyone does need it in Spanish, just let me know. But for now, I'm going to present everything in English. So eviction, how do we prevent one? So let's start off with what is an eviction. So an eviction is a court process a landlord can use to evict a tenant from a rented room, apartment, or a house. A sheriff or marshal is authorized in the removal of a tenant and their belongings. So just a little breakdown. That's kind of like what the eviction process kind of looks like. It doesn't always lead to an eviction. But there is a long process for that to even happen. Let's go on to the next slide. So let's go over some of the reasons for an eviction. I'm gonna try to condense all this information. One reason is rent balance. Another reason is a holdover. And the third reason is a violation of lease agreement. So the rent balance basically means you possibly owe the landlord money and you have not paid the balance back. So that's probably one reason the landlord may want to take you to court. Another reason, oh, sorry. Let me see if I can go back. And if not, sorry about that. Let me just do it this way then. So during the holdover, landlord is not willing to continue a tenancy contract after the lease expires. So basically the landlord could decide, hey, the lease is expiring by today. Today is the last day of the lease and I do not want to renew it. So I'm gonna let it expire and I'll start the holdover proceedings. They'll take you to court to try to remove you from, or find a way to remove you from the premise. Last one is violation of lease agreement again. Any lease rules and terms of violation of the lease. So you probably violated something you signed off on. The lease is a very important document. It's used legally. So if on the lease it told you, let's say for instance, no pets, and somehow the landlord found out that you do have a cat or dog inside your apartment, Landlord could just easily say, hey, that's okay. But then again, if it's under the lease, they're going to try to make sure that you follow that lease. So they can even take you to court for that reason. Or give you some type of notification to either remove the pet from the premise. They'll give you a timing. But those are some of the reasons for the start of an eviction, well, the proceedings of an eviction. What is a notice to terminate tenancy? So again, there's a lot of information here, so I'm going to try to condense it the most I can. So a notice to terminate tenancy is a written document a landlord gives to a tenant before starting an holdover case in housing court. Hold on, I might have that. So this is in Spanish, it's my error. But basically kind of goes back with what the last slide talked about. The landlord could decide that at the end of your lease, they don't want to renew it, and they can try to start a holdover or some type of proceeding to, at least at the end of what they're trying to do at the end of the day is trying to get you out of the apartment. These are the times given. And it depends, like this is the time given when you're given the notice to terminate tenancy, but it depends on your lease and time of tenancy. So for a 1-year lease or less, if you've lived there in the premise for a year or less, it would be 30 days. If you've lived at that apartment for 1 to 2 years, it would be 60 days. And 2 years or more, it will be 90 days. I did put a little key notes here. These are things that I would want everyone to really pay attention to, but there's usually 2 types of housing. So there's unregulated and then there's regulated housing. Unregulated is an apartment, most likely, or a building, house, or home with less than 6 apartments. And there's a lot more legal information regarding what's unregulated and regulated, but I'm trying to condense it. And regulated housing is an apartment building with possibly 6 or more apartments with regulated rent. Again, in regulated housing, if an owner doesn't want to renew the lease or offer a lease, the tenant is considered a month-to-month tenant, and the owner can serve a 30, 60, 90-day notice to terminate tenancy. In regulated housing, the notice to terminate tenancy is used if the tenant has failed to comply with a provision in the lease and the owner gives the tenant a chance to comply, or else an eviction proceeding can be filed. Again, from what I was explaining earlier, if you violated that lease in regards to that example of a dog or cat within your home, then they can give you the notice to terminate. Let's go on to the next slide. So what is a notice of petition? A notice of petition, a notice of petition due to non-payment is a notice from housing court which initiates the first steps for an eviction. The notice of petition due to non-payment describes the reasons why the property owner wants to evict the tenant. The petition has the date, time, and place of the court hearing. The notice of petition due to non-payment should be served to client. This may have changed or will change, but as of now, they have to serve this to you 10 days before the court date. The tenant must respond to that petition and prepare documents for the defense in court. Tenants are also given an opportunity to seek legal aid to help them in court. I did see some information regarding this as of recently. I would say if you do get a notice of petition for, let's say, non-payment proceeding, in this example, if you do not have legal representation, definitely look for it. I'm not sure if they're going to continue the memorandum of providing legal aid at the courthouse if needed, but definitely look and search for that legal aid before your day in court. So that was like a little information you guys should know. Here I've given you like an idea of what a notice of petition may look like. A notice of petition needs to include an index docket number to know if the case has been filed in housing court. So many times, I'm going to use this example. Many times I do get clients coming in here, stressed and worried, saying, hey, I got a notice of an eviction. I got a notice of an eviction. And for example, they have a week left to move out, according to what the document said. Sometimes it's good to look and see if this is whatever document the landlord or you has given to you or you have received. Make sure if it has a docket number, an index number. I'm not sure if you can see this little arrow up here, but if you see it up here somewhere, that means that the case is in court now, or it's already starting. So you should take that more seriously. But if there's no docket number, that does not mean that you should leave the apartment or premise within that time period. That just gives you that's just the landlord giving you a heads up. But do not, and I repeat, do not leave your apartment if there's no index number or no. The only way to be kicked out of your home is through the court system. So keep that in mind. These are some of the frequently asked questions that we may hear or people may have asked in regards to eviction. So first question, can an eviction be stopped and how? So yes, but it depends on the case. It's good to have a clear understanding on how to navigate the court process. These are some ways to prevent an eviction. One is to pay the rent balance demanded. Two, dismiss court case. Three, respond to the notice of petition. Or four, prepare your defense and seek legal aid. So for the first one, pay your rent balance, of course, provide some type of receipt or show some type of ability that you can pay the rent that they're asking for. A dismissed court case, I guess, if you know your way around the housing court system, or if you go through an office just like ours, or like any housing counseling, it's good to understand how to navigate the system. Because then if, let's say the landlord is trying to, I guess, send you in, is trying to evict you somehow, but they have no good cause to evict you, then if you know your rights, you know your laws, then if you find any violation that the landlord did, then maybe you can counter sue or just dismiss the court case in general. The response to notice of petition, just because the landlord put a notice of petition doesn't mean the landlord will win. So don't lose hope. That's the best I can say. Don't lose hope and try to arm yourself with any information you can, and definitely get yourself legal aid. That's the last one. What happens during housing court? The tenant will have the opportunity to explain to the judge their case and present the evidence that defends their stance. A tenant can also raise a counterclaim, abatement, or postpones, and submit an order to show cause. The judge will hear evidence and statement from both the tenant and landlord before making a court decision. So again, for anyone on call, this does take time. There is no time limit, really, sort of say, for people to really know how long this case would take. But yeah, I would say just try to figure out if needed, if you do need the legal help, definitely there's many places you can call. But if you definitely need the counseling, our office is open, so you can always come by if you need if you have any issues or questions in regards to this topic, definitely give us a call. I'll give you more information on the office later on the slide, but just giving you guys that open door. Okay, these are some helpful information I found in regards to an eviction. So these are things that you guys can use if you're a tenant to defend yourself. So number one, lockouts are illegal. So they're also known as unlawful evictions or self-help evictions. All tenants, including those in private residential programs, have the right to stay in their home unless they choose to leave or are evicted through a court process. So in case you come, your landlord gave you that notice and they're giving you a 30-day notice. After that 30-day notice, because this is not a court document, they decide to change the lock and you're stuck outside. You don't know what to do. Just know that under the law, it's illegal for the landlord to change your lock just because they gave you that 30-day notice. I can go further more into that, but let's just move on to number 2. Under New York City's right to counsel law, legal services are free, available in every zip code, and available regardless of immigration status. DSS HRA's Office of Criminal Justice, OCJ, ensures tenants facing eviction in court, housing court or NYCHA administrative proceedings have access to free legal representation and advice provided by nonprofit legal services organizations from across 5 boroughs. So that means if you are a low-income tenant, you do have the right to free legal consultation, free legal aid, representation in court. Again, if you need that, definitely our office is open for one. But if you do live outside of the community, call 311, see which legal office or housing counseling office is closest to you. And that way they can help you along the way. Number 3, we urge all New Yorkers in need of rent relief to apply for the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, aka ERAP, through the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, OTDA web portal, as a pending application will provide temporary protection from eviction. So in regards to ERAP, I'm going to go over ERAP later on in this PowerPoint, in this workshop, but for those who are facing a holdover case, they owe money, they owe rent, they owe their they owe money on their utility bills. We would always recommend that you apply for ERAP. Right now, there is no funding for ERAP. I'm not sure when they'll put in the funding for ERAP, but it's good to have an application submitted in case you owe rent, because this is going to help you and this is going to protect you from being evicted in case the landlord wants to take this to court. So let's move on. Again, I left it off at ERAP, and this is where we're going to talk a little bit more about ERAP. So what is ERAP? ERAP is an economic relief program through OTDA, which is the Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance, which helps eligible households within New York State request rental and utility, gas and electric arrears accumulated during the COVID-19 crisis. These are what is covered under the ERAP program. So you're up to 12 months of rental and utility arrears payments, which have started on or before March 13, 2020. And then for some cases, up to 3 months of additional rental assistance for households 30% or more for rent. So again, this is one type of way to pretty much avoid the eviction process. But it's only going to cover tenants from, I'm going to say, from the start of March 13, 2020 until March 13, 2021. So in case you owe any type of money in between that time period or until the memorandum finished, basically that's what they're going to cover. Anything else after that, there's other ways to probably cover that owed rent or owed debt, but this is just something that can help you. So to be eligible for ERAP, so the household gross, aka how much money the whole household makes per year, has to be below 80%. So for example, in Brooklyn, if one person makes about, I say, under 67,000, then they can apply for ERAP. If it's 2 people in the home, then it's 76,000 a year or under to apply for ERAP, et cetera, et cetera. Members of households who received unemployment, income reduction, any significant financial hardship, or on or after March 13th of 2020 due to COVID. The applicant is obligated to pay rent and has rental arrears on or after March 13th of 2020. And the last eligibility point that I have here, at risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability. So these are pretty much what will you can look at in your own case to see if you feel like you may be able to apply for ERAP. Some key notes that I put under here. So people, even if you're an immigrant, you don't need to have there's no immigrant status required. So that means if you're not a legal resident, but you still have an apartment here, you can still apply for ERAP. If you only need utility arrears assistance, I would advise people to apply for HEAP through HRA. And for ERAP, you do not have to pay this money back. This is the money that's going to go straight to the landlord or the utility company, and you don't have to pay this money back. Anything after that 1 year that they do pay back, it's up to you to pay up. But again, there's other ways to possibly get that money to pay off that whatever else you owe. So people may question what types of rental properties can apply for ERAP. So these are some of the rental properties that can apply for ERAP: an apartment, a duplex, single family home, detached house, semi-detached row house, single room occupancy, and manufactured home or lot rental. So these are some that can apply for ERAP in the area of area code of 11208, mostly East New York. I do see a lot of buildings, so it's going to be a lot of apartments. There's going to be a lot of homes. There's going to be a lot of people that do rent out rooms in apartments or homes. And there are also people that rent out apartments or sections of a home. So these are people that definitely can apply for ERAP. And here's a nice, beautiful picture of, I'm guessing, Atlantic and Pennsylvania. Well, I'm not even sure, but I definitely know this is overlooking East New York. And last but not least, these are the documents needed to apply. So a personal ID for each person or for each adult, social security number for each household member, proof of rent. And with proof of rent, these are some of the examples of what would be proof of rent. So signed lease, rent receipt, canceled check, money order, landlord attestation. Also, you'll need a proof of residency and occupancy. So any document with an address and name, and it has to be current. So let's say, for example, if you have your cell phone bill or light bill or telephone bill, whatever, if it has the address of where you live, you can use that as proof of residency, as long as it has your name and address. Proof of income. So some examples are monthly income and annual income. So sometimes we'll need to know if you have any, let's say if you're working and you're getting paid, we need some pay stubs from your checks. If you're getting paid by the government, aka like SSI, any of these type of programs, if you can give us a type of document that shows how much you're getting, but stuff like that, we would definitely need. And also your annual income tax. So if you did your income tax returns for the year 2020 or 2021, definitely bring these documents over. Also, copy of gas and or electric bill in case you owe any type of utility arrears. So another key note I put here, make sure you have the landlord's name, contact number, email, and mailing address whenever you're trying to apply for ERAP, because your landlord will also be submitting documents. If you don't know this information, try to get that information before we completely submit the application. But just a heads up. Where can you apply to ERAP? Again, our doors are open. So this is our location for our office for Cypress Hills. It's 3214 Fulton Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11208. That is our office number, 718-647-8100. Again, I'm Juan, so you can ask me. You can call and ask for me, and I can definitely set up an appointment to help you apply for ERAP. So we're going to go over 2 other ways to avoid an eviction. One way is through the one-shot deal. The one-shot deal is an emergency assistance program through HRA, which is the Human Resources Administration, that helps people who cannot meet their expenses due to event and situations. Assistance is provided for the following reasons. So homelessness, rent arrears, utility disconnected or about to be, a fire disaster, domestic violence, circumstances that affect health and safety of individuals and family. So a lot of these, you can see these are very, these are like big emergencies for many people, and a lot of people are going through this at the moment. If you cannot apply or do not fall under ERAP, then this is another way that you can apply in order to either one, pay whatever you do owe, so you don't end up eventually on the streets or homeless, or they don't disconnect any, like your lights or your gas. Some of us may have children, or anyone with the children, the elderly, any people with medical conditions who may need the electricity to be on. So these are things that would put you under the one-shot deal. These are some of the factors that determine your eligibility. So income, household size, reason for need. So an example is losing a job. Available savings and resources, affordability of housing, disability, future plan to pay expenses, citizenship or immigration status. So this is another keynote. Unless you receive SSI, you will have to pay some or all of this money given to you. So unlike ERAP, the one-shot deal, you do have to pay back unless you're receiving SSI. So I do have people coming here. Of course, if you don't fall under the eligibility of ERAP, then there's the one-shot deal. Again, they're not gonna force you to pay. Let's say if you get a $3,000, I don't know, voucher or something to help you pay off your old rent. They're not asking you to pay off that $3,000 right away, but you can make a payment plan and see how you can pay off that debt. Again, this is just an example. This is another way that you can pay off your debt in order to avoid being evicted. Okay, so these are the documents needed to apply. Personal ID for each adult, social security number or birth certificate for each household member, bills or letters from landlord for monthly rent and old rent, a lease, proof of income for all household members, and copies of court orders. It's pretty much the same. Almost all this information would be used for ERAP as well. So it's pretty much the same info. And how to apply for ERAP. So there's 2 ways to apply for ERAP. One is you can apply through Access HRA. I provided the website link here. So if you do want to write it down or anything, you can do it through there, or you could just Google Access HRA. If you do have a HRA account, then definitely, call your worker or go to the like any of their offices in order to get help to apply for ERAP. After you apply, you must have an interview to get emergency assistance or the one-shot deal. The second way to apply is in person. These are 3 offices that we do that do provide services to apply for ERAP. So there's the Bushwick Center, which is located on 2 George Street, Brooklyn, New York. There's a Clinton Hill Center, which is 495 Claremont Avenue. And one of our closest affiliates is the Good Shepherd Services. I would highly recommend you guys reach out to them. But their address is at 876 Shank Avenue, 2nd floor, Brooklyn, New York, Brooklyn, New York, 11207. Again, in case you need any information in regards to this, definitely give us a call. We can also help you find like a HRA office nearby that may help you, or any other office that may be able to help you as well. But we would definitely recommend Good Shepherd Services. So this is the third. I know it's been a lot of information, but let's try to wrap this up. This is the last and final way that you can avoid an eviction, so to speak. So there might be other ways, but so far these are the 3 top concrete ways that you might be able to do it. The last one here is the emergency housing voucher. What is the emergency housing voucher? The Emergency Housing Voucher, EHV, is a program made available through the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, under the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. EHV provides housing vouchers to local public authorities to assist individuals and families who are experiencing the following: homelessness, at risk of being homeless, fleeing or attempted to flee, domestic violence or dating violence, sexual assault or stalking, human trafficking, you're recently homeless and at high risk of housing instability. So these are also some keynotes that I put here for EHV, the Emergency Housing Voucher. If you believe you and/or your family fall under these factors, you must first complete an initial screening with a caseworker to then be referred to NYCHA and HPD, New York City agencies. You cannot apply to EHV directly. Also, EHVs are limited, so individuals and/or families who meet eligibility criteria must also satisfy additional criteria. So this is just, I guess, word of the wise for like our office, but a lot of people do come here hoping to apply for some type of housing voucher or emergency housing voucher. And sadly, we have to turn them away because we don't have the ability to provide someone with a housing voucher. I'm going to show you guys what agencies can help you apply for the housing voucher. Sorry, the emergency housing voucher, but it wouldn't be through our office. So I'm going to show you on the next slide who you can go to in order to apply for the emergency housing voucher. Again, the emergency housing voucher is for extreme cases. If you do fall under these extreme cases, this is very helpful for you. But these are some of the agencies that can help you make a referral or get a referral for the emergency housing voucher. I'm going to name a few. So the Department of Homeless Services, so HRA again, Department of Human Resources, Office of Domestic Violence, Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, Department of Youth and Community Development, and New York City Administration of Children's Services, ACS. So usually with the housing voucher, it kind of works like the Section 8 voucher, in which you're paying the 30% of the rent, while HPD or NYCHA, whichever the agency is, pays the difference. So for example, if the rent is $1,000 and that's something you can't pay, They would give you a voucher, you pay 30% of $1,000 would be $300. So you would pay your $300 while they would pay the rest of that. But if you need another second to view over these agencies, go for it. I'm gonna give everyone like maybe 15 more seconds. Yeah, other than these agencies, again, if you need help contacting these agencies, you're definitely welcome to come here. We'll try to help you. But again, we can't make that referral. This would be like emergency cases, and these are the agencies that you have to get in contact with. These are where I got my resources for each type of like voucher or program. So for ERAP, one-shot deal, and the emergency housing voucher, these are the websites that I use to get most of the information I provided to you. And that's about it. Thank you for your time, everybody. This is the end of the workshop. It doesn't mean like we're ending right now. This is time for people to ask any type of question. So if anything, please, I'm gonna look over the chat, but first let me look over the chat. Nicole, I do see your hand up, so give me one moment. The chat, Cherie did ask a question. Have sections, and what do I do when I've already been to court in case of Cherie, I would say get in contact with me. I'm not sure. If you want, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask me this question. Because I'm trying to
definitely, yes, I would definitely unmute myself. Thank you so much.
No problem,
I
Cherie.
do not mind talking to you directly because I am mind boggling right now. And like you say, relax, breathe, easier said than done with everything I've been through, but I'm trying. I truly am trying. Now, as I stated, I have Section 8. And I went actually to 2 courts. He had me first in housing, and then he had the audacity to take me to small claims court. So housing was dismissed without prejudice. The small claim, which was on the 14th of July of this year, that I finally went to court again. And then the small claims one was July 29th, which was dismissed too because he didn't even show up. Now, as of the housing one that was dismissed without prejudice and whatnot, is because he stated false information anyway. So as the attorney told me, well, not the
unmute yourself again. We can't hear you.
Immediate.
Yeah, sorry, we couldn't hear a lot of what you just said.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
We went into a room before we seen the judge, and since he realized the something was wrong, he was like, well, okay, this is gonna be dismissed without prejudice, but it does not stop the fact that he can bring it back to court. So his attorney at the time stated that, well, he wants his place. So even if he dismiss it now, he will bring it back because he wants his case. Now that was on the 14th. So on the 29th of July, I had the small claims court. Now with the housing court, when he claimed that I owed the amount that I owed, I put in for the ERAP. He did not want the ERAP. He told the ERAP, no, he did not want their things, and he put in for to vacate ERAP. That's what he put. He said he did not want what they were saying since he was claiming that I was owing that amount. Okay. So since he said he didn't want it, ERAP was like, well, we don't know what to tell you, but go to the small claims court still. So I went on the 29th. When I went on the 29th, he didn't even show up. He was the one that put it against me, didn't even show up or anything like that. So they're like, well, this matter don't exist no more. This is considered resolved. You know, so I'm like, okay, fine. But then I get paperwork again stating that he wants me out in 30 days. And then 2 days after that, I receive another paperwork stating that if I'm not out by October 31st of this month, that he wants to take me back to court claiming that he wants the amount. Check this out. You can't make this stuff up. This is why my head hurt. Okay, $26,630.
Wow. So I don't mean to cut you off because I do want to tend to other people. So I'm gonna try to explain this situation to you. Again, you can definitely come to us and we could try to see how we can help you as well. But in this situation, it seems like the landlord just wants your apartment. Not sure why. Um, Not sure what history you have with your landlord, so I can't really speak on that. Um, but
I've been here
yes,
12 years.
yeah. So the landlord will continue to do the same. Like again, the landlord can just put these proceedings in court, even if they're baseless, meaning there's no evidence or no information behind them. And sometimes they can be like how it happened for you, taken out of court because there was no, for the second one you said on the 29th, I believe, he didn't even show up.
Yes, that's
So,
what the small claims. Yes.
mhm. So what we, because I'm not a lawyer myself, but it seems like this is some type of form of harassment from your landlord. So,
Thank you. I feel
uh-huh.
that way. I do feel harassed. I really do. I do.
So in case you do have legal help at the moment, meaning a lawyer,
Don't. I
um,
need one.
okay. So again, definitely take our information. I'm gonna give it at the end of this call. But I'm gonna attend to other questions, but this is something that you might need legal help because this is some form of harassment. So I would advise you to definitely come to our office so that way we can try to help you with the situation. So um, if anything, I would say if you want, send me a private chat, um, not a chat for the whole audience, but a private chat with your contact information. That way we could get in contact with you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
No
Consider
problem.
that done. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Sheree. No problem. All right. I see Nicole, you've had your hand up for a long time. So you can unmute yourself and ask me whatever question or anything you need to say.
Okay, well, I definitely want to come into the office to sit down and be able to probably speak with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um I took my landlord to court in 2019. In
Okay.
September of 2019, I filed a case of harassment slash HP.
Okay.
He was served properly and everything. However, I was never served. He tried to serve my 14-year-old daughter by letting some strange man into the
Yeah.
building.
Uh, mm,
And despite all of the stuff that I listed for the harassment, the courts was they basically brushed it off.
mm-hmm.
And it was like, well, let's give him access to the apartment to at least get the repairs done. He never did any of the repairs.
Okay.
And I explained to the courts I was never served.
Mm-hmm.
They dismissed that. So he wasn't upfront with the judge, one of the judges, when he filed his case to let them know there was already a case that I had brought
Mm-hmm.
against him. He went as far, and like I said, as harassing my children. Um, he had people come into the building falsely identifying themselves as city workers, saying that they was there to address some issues. They was gonna give me violations, but meanwhile not looking at the 21 violations he had in the building and
Yeah.
still has.
Mm-hmm.
The courts came to the building in February of 2020. They gave him violations, told him that he had to either repair them or he was going to be fined. They closed it out. Nothing was ever done. I've been in this apartment since I think 20, I've been here for over 10 years, but we've been without refrigeration and a stove
Mm.
since
Wow.
like what, 2018.
Yeah.
And
So sorry, go ahead. Continue.
and we have disabilities in the home. Now is at the point, I went through four attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
The courts basically, I asked them for a guardian ad litem. They refused to do that. The lawyer that they tried to give me within the courts,
Mm-hmm.
she was very disrespectful, unprofessional, and I saw everything within the courts. And the judge said to me, well, you know, she's sitting behind you. And I says, and what is that supposed to mean? I'm telling you what was done outside of the courtroom right before my
Yeah.
very eyes. And basically, he was telling me, well, I advise you to try to get a lawyer. But how many times did I come to the court explaining that I was never served, explaining that I needed a gal? They wouldn't
Hmm.
help me.
So this is why, we always advise people, not saying in your case, but in general, like
Mm-hmm.
we always advise people to get that legal help or anything, because it does make the process easier and better. It helps you better understand it. Or even
Mm-hmm.
like coming to like our office, because I may not know all the legal terms or anything, but that doesn't mean our
Yes.
office cannot help you in that.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So again, I hear a lot of cases. There's cases where landlord will do that holdover case or send
Mm-hmm.
you that document or evictions or anything, and for a right cause. That may be the right cause, and sometimes it is what it is. But in certain situations, and I hear this a lot, of course, there's a lot of cases where landlords are doing very illegal, they're conducting illegal activities, or the same situation where he said he was trying to serve your daughter who's 14.
Yes. At that time, she
Yeah.
was 14. Yes.
So stuff like that is where, it is concerning, because it's like this is a place where you live. And at the end of the day, you just want to lay your head down and not stress about where you're living, because you're probably stressed about anything else out in life.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these landlords, they're trying to, depends on the living situations, but in like situations around here, there's a lot of homes, a lot of houses. And a lot of these houses, they have like, let's say somebody renting the first or second floor, whatever the case is. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes these landlords, um, they want to like either kick the people out, raise the rent, or whatever their reasoning is behind wanting to have the apartment to their for their own. But they'll
Yes.
try to do anything they possibly can to harass you and force you out of the home, which is again illegal. I've had a workshop in the past in regards to like your legal rights as a tenant. And one of the legal rights is you have the right not to be harassed by your landlord. Um, they shouldn't be knocking on your door 24/7. They shouldn't be doing these type of sneaky little things behind your back, or even entering your apartment without your consent for no reason whatsoever. That's super illegal. So,
That's that's why I believe. Not sorry. That's
mhm,
why I believe he brought a case against me for he brought a holdover case against me.
okay.
And the thing was, I had FEPS at one point and did not know that I needed to recertify at a certain
True.
time
Yeah.
because I haven't had a mailbox key for more than 2 years.
Hmm.
He changed the lock on it and refused to give me the key. I put
Yeah.
all of that in the case against them, but yet still the courts, they wasn't concerned with the harassment. They said that the holdover case precedes the case that I brought against him.
Again, I'm sorry that you had to go through all of that. I don't want to give you like an answer at the
Hmm.
moment, because again, I don't know all the like legal terms or
Yes.
what can help your case
Hmm.
specifically. Um, I like what it sounds like in many cases, sometimes the judge may come to a decision and you may have the right to appeal that decision. But within time. I'm
Hmm.
not exactly fully sure if it's the same exact thing with housing court. This is something I would have to look up and definitely get more information on.
Hmm.
But I definitely recommend, same thing with Cherie, definitely send me a private chat with your information. That
Okay.
way I could contact you and set up something. So that way we can at least start helping you in some way.
Okay.
Um,
I used to come to your office for a lot of training programs.
Oh, probably because we have many different offices. So it might have been one of our other offices.
No, definitely Fulton Street.
No, but meaning there's a lot of offices on Fulton Street as well. We're just
Okay.
one of the many, but
Mm-hmm.
we provide many different services as well. So I'm
Yes.
writing down my contact information on this slide. Can everyone see the slide at the moment?
It says thank you for
Yeah.
your time.
So I'm gonna put my information there so anyone can get in contact with me in case you do want to set up an appointment with us.
Yes.
Give me 1 second. And 201 0677. And last but not least, my email.
I just want to ask, does is Nicole, right?
Yes.
Yeah, do you live in a rent stabilized building or a small, less than 6 apartments type building?
Less than 6.
Okay. All right.
Yes, less than 6. And right now I believe he abandoned the building. So
So
yeah.
Right. And then have you had like a lawyer at all representing you, like a legal services, not-for-profit lawyer representing you at all?
The lawyers that I had, the original attorney that I had, he didn't stay my attorney, not even for a month, because I spoke up for myself. Because soon as he met me, he came right at me as though he was representing the landlord. My second, let me see, the second attorney, he basically he stayed temporarily, but because he got sick. So then he appointed someone else. And the third person that he appointed the original's first attorney supervisor as my attorney. He got a promotion, which I mean, I was happy for him. He didn't know that I know he got the promotion, but he did. And he put somebody else in place. I've never met her in person, and everything was always over the phone. It was always like a text message, no, not too many phone calls. And I was supposed to have, like, say for example, I was supposed to have court in August, and then all of a sudden she tells me in August. I'm like, okay, so when is the court date? She said, oh, there's no more court dates. So what does that mean? I suggest that you find a temporary place for you and the children to live.
But which agency or lawyer organization was this?
This was Corporation A.
Corp A? Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I'm not saying that the last attorney, like the last and like 3 of the attorney, well, actually one of them he was the head. And like I said, he had personal stuff that really affected him, and he was truly just trying to get people in place to take over cases and make sure everybody gets the help that they need.
Right.
But a lot of people, unfortunately was complaining that, the attorneys are not responding, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And the only one that troubled me was my first attorney. And like I said, I spoke up for myself because I didn't like the way he addressed me, and my whole thing is to tell like one attorney, like I said, she told me to find a temporary place to stay. Now, if you find a temporary place to stay, whether it's on your family or friend's couch, public assistance, DHS, they will not approve you to be in a shelter. They'll say, oh, you got some place to lay your head, and find you ineligible.
Yeah.
Right. I see.
And I just really feel like it's so much of this going on. And for me to be in here, like I said, without a working stove or a working refrigerator, no heat, hot water, I'll tell you this, because I'm not ashamed to say it, I have to use a bucket just to flush the toilet. They came and did repairs and did something else. And my thing is, as a parent, if I did all of this on my own, I would get an ACS case. I've been through the system. And it's not a good feeling. And it's unfortunate. They say, we're here to protect the children, but you need to find out what the adults need. Because there are parents, there are caretakers out here who fight to get the help, and then the tables get turned on them.
Right.
Okay. And I'm eligible for ERAP. I got approved, and he didn't want it either.
Right. Yeah.
Again, they can decide not to accept it, but they can't. It's still protecting you. It's still going to protect you for whatever was owed.
Yes.
I tell people who have applied for ERAP, just because, let's say, for example, they're covering you for a year, doesn't mean you should stop paying your rent. Because in that case, once the old rent that was paid for the 12 months, if there's like, let's say 18, 20 months in total that were owed, it's paying for 12 months, but what happens to the other 8 months?
Right.
That's something people still need to look at. But in regards to your case, again, as I advise Sheree, it's good so that you guys come in person. That way we have time to really go over your case individually. Because of course we're short on time here. So I do appreciate you taking your time to explain your situation. I would say again, please leave your contact info in the chat, or if not, that's my info on the screen. If you want, don't call now, but you can definitely leave an email. If, let's say, for instance, I'm not contacting, well, not able to pick up the phone or anything, but again, my name is Juan Vasquez. The 718 number, 718-647-8100 is our office number. My extension is 102. Or if not, you can just ask for me. Huh?
Okay, well, who was the gentleman that I was just responding to?
Oh, that's my director supervisor, Renee Arlene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was going through my email. I said, I know somebody sent me something about an eviction prevention workshop, and I was like really going through my emails because I get a lot of emails, and I mean, so I'm very grateful. I'm very, very grateful for this Zoom call, and I would definitely love to come into the office. Thank you.
Thank you guys. So also I have a Google Voice number. In case you can't contact me on phone, you could text this Google Voice number 347-201-0677, and I'll try to attend you as soon as possible.
Okay, wait a minute. I want to put that note in my phone. So you said 347
201
201
0677.
0677.
If you're gonna text me, just please leave your name, a little info about you, and that's about it. That way I can have an idea.
Okay.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you everyone.
Anyone else have any
Nicole.
other questions? Any other concerns?
No, thank you. It was very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Sheree.
Appreciate
Thank you very much. Other than that, everyone, I'm happy you enjoyed the workshop, that it's now over. Thank you for your time. I'm hoping to have another workshop monthly. So definitely look out for whatever other flyers I'll be putting out soon. And I hope to see you guys in person as well. Like, that's always great to bond with everyone within the community, to understand everyone. But thank you, everyone. Hope you guys have a good night, and I appreciate everything.
All right, everyone, stay blessed.
Appreciate you too.
Stay
blessed, everyone. Stay safe.
safe. Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Good night.
Take care. Good night.
Good night.